some dream, some sign, something that would help me to make that decision. Should I stay or should I go? To quote the 80s song, should I stay or should I go? That was the decision I was trying to make. And I didn't get anything. I didn't get a still small voice. I didn't get any hunches, promptings, nothing that I could say, well, this was the voice of God telling me. So I started to ask God for signs. Like if somebody paid for my whole next year's tuition, I would take that as a sign that I should come back to Bible college. And nothing happened. I prayed for God to show me signs. I didn't see any signs. I didn't read any circumstances. Nobody said anything. There was nothing in Scripture that seemed to jump off the page and reveal His will. And so I started to pray, well, Lord, if it's your will for me to come back to Bible college, then just have somebody step up and pay for one semester. And still nothing, no clear direction, no visions, no signs, nothing. And so I started to pray, Lord, if somebody just buys my books for tuition for that next year, then I'll take it as your will to come back for Bible college. And still nothing, no nudgings, no promptings, no clear direction at all. I started to feel like Abraham negotiating for a city. And I eventually got exasperated with that and started at some points to even question whether or not I was truly saved. I mean, that entered into my mind. How is it that all of these other people can hear these voices, these promptings, and I don't hear them. I don't hear that voice. And yet I would hear students quote John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice. And then, well, if I'm not hearing a voice, maybe I'm not his sheep, or maybe I'm just not mature enough or godly enough, or maybe I'll learn this discipline at some point. And that was the crisis that kind of caused eventually my whole commitment to the hearing the voice of God theology to come crashing down over the course of the next couple of years, as I came to the conclusion that God is not trying to communicate with us. He has in His Word. He's not trying to whisper to us His directions through promptings and nudgings, etc. He has communicated everything in His Word. It is sufficient for life and godliness, and we need nothing else other than what Scripture gives us for making decisions and leading God-honoring, God-glorifying lives.
Yeah. Now, dear ones, as you're watching this, you may be right now, you're thinking, well, whoa, what are you talking about? This goes against everything that I've ever been told. This goes against everything I've ever heard from the pulpit. This goes against Charles Stanley, what I've heard him talking about. This goes against Priscilla Shirer and Beth Moore, and this goes against, even some people that you would maybe to one degree or another hold in relatively high esteem. Not that we hold Beth Moore in high esteem at all, but that's for another program. But you may be wondering that, well, wait, this is not what I've been taught. Are you saying that God only speaks to us through the Bible? And Jim, I know I went through this myself. Many of you watching right now, undoubtedly you have heard all of these people say, well, God spoke to me. God told me to tell you such and such. Mm-hmm. God told me that we should be doing this in our church. We should go this direction. We should do this. And has it ever made you wonder, what's wrong with me? You know, all these other people claim to hear God speak. They say that God speaks to them so clearly, so regularly, but yet I don't hear Him talk to me like that. Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with my walk with the Lord? And this is who you're really trying to reach in the book, isn't it?
It is, and some of the teachings of HVG proponents, those who teach this theology that we need to be listening for God's whispers, some of them actually, you know, in their teachings, they won't come out and say it, but they will talk in such a way or write in such a way as to really make you question your own sanctification and your own salvation if you're not hearing from God. So, for instance, Henry Blackaby would say, if you're not regularly hearing from God outside of Scripture, there's something fundamentally wrong at the heart of your Christian life and experience. Well, listen, if God's not speaking to you regularly, then there's nothing you can do to hear Him speak to you, period. So if you're not hearing Him speak, it's because He's not speaking to you outside of Scripture. And so if it's true that God has spoken to us in His Word, and He has not promised to speak to us outside Scripture, then if you're not hearing from Him from outside Scripture, and yet you have a teacher like Henry Blackaby or Charles Stanley or Priscilla Shirer, Rick Warren, Robert Morris, and others like that, who are telling you that you need to be hearing these things regularly, and if you're not, there's something fundamentally wrong with your relationship with the Lord. You have a one-way relationship with Him where you do all the talking and God does all the listening and He never speaks to you. These teachers make you feel as if you're missing out on something if you're not regularly hearing nudgings and promptings in your head. they make you feel as if you are fundamentally unsanctified, immature, that your relationship with the Lord is broken almost to the point of being irreparable if you're not regularly receiving divine missives from heaven.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Shirer, and I'm hoping that you'll join me for a 6-week journey as we talk about how we can hear and discern the voice of God in our lives.
Do you really expect and anticipate that the divine voice of God can be heard by you? Do you really think that He loved you enough to die for you, but doesn't love you enough to then talk to you?
Last week, we began a new mini-series on understanding how to hear the voice of God. Very few things are more important than this, because you can't have a relationship to God if you can't hear God. If all you do is ever talk to Him in prayer and you never hear God speak to you, that's a one-way relationship. That isn't much of a relationship.
Right.
That's the way they write. Those are the assumptions that go into their writing. And so if you're used to reading those kinds of writings and thinking in those terms, and then you start to say, well, is that, when I started thinking about Chinese food during the service today, the worship service today, was that the Lord trying to whisper to me to go to the Chinese restaurant for lunch today? Or, when I saw the picture of the shape of Africa in the clouds today as I was leaving church, is that the Lord trying to tell me that I need to be a missionary from Africa or give money to Africa? And if you're not regularly receiving those types of communications and picking up on them, then you would start to wonder, man, what's wrong with me? Maybe I'm not a sheep. Maybe I'm not mature. Maybe my relationship with the Lord is broken, and it could lead to exasperation, which is the opposite of what we should be experiencing as believers.